Welcome back. I am Firebat. Joining me with the cast is Lorinda.
Yo.
We are going to be bringing you Zummp versus Seiko. What do you think of these guys?
Zummp versus Seiko, not much on either of them. I believe that Seiko has a minor result at IEM sometime a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Zummp, pretty much a total unknown, but he's got a dog.
He's got a dog. Everybody needs a dog. They cheer you up.
Yep.
Keep you happy when you get a little salty.
Get you into trouble, apparently?
Hey. Yeah, I've had a little trouble with that before. But the picks and bans here, we have Seiko's Mage being banned. I would have expected maybe his Jade Druid getting banned, and Zumpp's Quest Rogue getting banned. So Zummp, and kind of anticipating, or not really anticipating his Quest Rogue getting banned.
Yeah, you fancied the Druid was going to get banned in this one.
Right, he's yeah, if you expect your Druid to get banned, then you
don't ban the Rogue.
Then you don't ban the Rogue.
So maybe he's second guessed this one.
Yeah. So
because we were looking at it beforehand, it looked like Seiko's Druid was pretty much an auto ban.
Right.
And then he could ban what he liked based on that information, however he felt his lineup was. Seiko's running a fairly standard set of decks. Jade Druid, N'Zoth Paladin, Evolve Shaman, Discover Mage. Zumps are fairly normal as well. Quest Rogue, Evolve Shaman, N'Zoth Paladin, Discover Mage, but he's got one or two techie things going on.
Extra greed in almost all of his decks for Zummp. He's got a Ysera N'Zoth Paladin. It's the slowest, greediest Paladin deck I think I've ever seen in tournament play to date. So
if you're going to play a greedy deck, you might as well be greedier than the other greedy deck.
Right. He's going to have a very easy time in, like, the Paladin Mirror, for example.
Right. No, it's a big deal, because there's got a lot of Paladin in this top 8. He's also got an MC Tech, I think, lurking in one of his decks, I believe. Let's have a quick look for that. I saw one hiding. We'll find that in a moment for you when it matters. But we are into Discover Mage versus that N'Zoth Paladin of Seiko on the other side, the less greedy one.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty greedy because it's still a N'Zoth Paladin. It's still got Elise in it.
Yeah, Elise is definitely some extra greed compared to the control Paladins we've been seeing, like Orange's N'Zoth Paladin, for example. It does not have the Elise in there, but it does have the Karen. So there's no Karen in the list for Seiko, so he's not going to be able to get that additional N'Zoth value later on. But that's okay for this matchup, as it usually gets polymorphed anyway.
And how do you see this match? I'm not sure if anyone's ever finished a game of it, because it takes so long. So it's sort of 50-50 on any sites that explain what they think the matchup percentages are.
I guess it's whoever stays awake the longest, right? Isn't that how it works?
So obviously it's just going to be a straight-up value war with maybe the Mage trying to push some early damage through just to get a little bit of an edge, trying to make the Paladin use his cards a bit inefficiently. Mage with a little
Mage at the end of the day needs to kill the Paladin. The Paladin has more threats. The Paladin can live for a really long time. A lot of times you get into situations where you just Alexstrasza and try and burn him over the top. The Gluttonous Ooze kind of being tempoed out here because Zummp does not have in his deck Medivh because he's playing Freeze Mage.
He is? There we go.
Counterspell, yeah.
That's twice in one day that Discover Mage has been listed as Freeze Mage. I'm happy about this. Okay, that makes things a bit different then.
Right, so
now it's really easy to predict who's the favourite.
Yeah, the Paladin is oftentimes coming out on top because of just the amount of heal that Paladin has. He has the Ragnaros Lightlord in there. He has the Forbidden Healing. He already has the Forbidden Healing in his hand. A lot of times, if you can set yourself up in a situation... Oh, he's also got Mana Worms in his Freeze Mage deck and Firelands Portals, making it not a Freeze Mage deck.
There we go. But I just keep drawing arrows to point out that this is a Freeze Mage deck.
Well, it's a hybrid.
Right.
We're kind of right in each way. It doesn't have Medivh. It has Archmage Antonidas instead. It has double Doomsayer, double Frost Nova.
But it has double Mana Worm.
But double Mana Worm
double Firelands Portal.
He's playing with 45 cards. I don't know how I fit it all in here. He cut the Blizzards out for Firelands Portals in essentially a Freeze Mage. And he's added Mana Worms over what would normally be some additional card draw like Loot Hoarders.
So the Mana Worm's going to draw him cards by buying time and by doing some damage, which means you don't need as many cards.
It's an interesting way to make your deck a little bit better against control and a little bit better against aggro at the same time, but making it way worse against mid-range decks, which lends very favorably for this metagame, as I don't think we've seen very many mid-range decks at all.
Yeah, we've seen one or two weird Discover Mages where they've been weighted one way or the other, but we haven't seen one quite as... This is just
it's polarized on either end, yeah.
And this is going to put him in a fairly good spot, you'd think.
Yeah, the Paladin doesn't pressure you all that much, so having all this just extra burn, you don't need blizzards to slow him down, so screw it. Firelands Portal him in the face a bunch of times. There's just an incredible amount of damage and cycle in this deck.
I just love how, obviously, going into this match, we both, our eyes get drawn to different parts of the deck.
Right,
and we both call it something different, and it's actually both.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
Just the instinct to pick out different cards that highlight various things. He has, however, lost the board earlier than he would have liked to. Obviously, with that bit of early game
he's
thrown
only
in.
got mana worms to hold the board with, really.
Seiko's only got hero power.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's true.
So, mana worm's pretty good, but Zummp does have a tremendous amount of burn already in his hand with the Alexstrasza, the double fireball, the Firelands, the Medivh's Valet, the Frostbolt. Yeah, you can see it for yourselves.
He's got 23 damage in his hand and an Alexstrasza, so he can start doing kind of the stutter step, where you set your opponent down to about 15 health at some point during the game.
Right.
Then they're forced to have to Forbidden Healing, and then you Alexstrasza them after the Forbidden Healing has come out. And
yeah, because Forbidden Healing is usually got miss your go as part of the card text.
Yeah, and Zummp setting up the counterspell here, going into the turn 6 of Seiko, is very, very strong, as the only real 6-drops in the deck are Sunkeeper Terran, which you don't want to play debuffing your 5/5, or Spike Ridge Steed, which you don't want to drop into the fear of a counterspell.
So here we are in the top 8, and we've got a totally, well, not totally new deck, but a very interesting mage deck, and a fairly super greedy paladin deck while you're at it.
Yeah.
So just showing you don't have to play the tried and tested stuff without your own tech to reach these top 8s.
Yeah, these guys have some of the most unique decks in the entire tournament, for sure. Like, just kind of really wacky with the tech choices in a lot of them. Even their Shaman decks have wacky tech choices like Sea Giant. It's
and it is still an evolved Doppelgangster deck as well. It's not like the Sea Giant version that replaces those. It's actually just thrown one in there.
Yeah.
Just for a bit of mirror advantage, because that mirror otherwise just comes down to A, who can get the board, B, can you get Doppelgangster evolve.
Yeah.
If you've got C, drop an 8/8 on the board and kill them with it. That's nice.
It's definitely very nice. We've seen a lot of series decided by Shaman mirrors, even just the last series, where the other decks kind of trade off with one another. So these guys having really unique techs is awesome to see.
That counterspell still there, I believe, as we were going through those notes, and making life really tricky.
No, the counterspell has been broken by the equality, so it is gone.
Oh, my bad. There we go. If you go through notes.
Picking up the Rag Light Lord for Seiko is fantastic. Now he has the healing he needs to try and stabilize, but this Aldor being injured means the Light Lord may not heal him in the face.
Quite a lot of damage coming in here from Seiko. Not the position you'd have expected from this, but making good use of these.
I'd like to see Zummp try and set up a lethal right here. I want to see maybe a Frostbolt plus Medivh's Valet to the face, setting him down to 11 so you can kill him with double Fireball next turn, and then just maybe pinging the Elise to lower the odds that Ragnar's the Light Lord will heal Seiko's face, forcing a Forbidden Healing, and then being able to play Alex on 9.
Yeah, and doing it all again.
Yeah, and then just trying again.
Obviously, the Alex on 9 will be a bit awkward just because then the Rag Light Lord will be able to direct the heal at face. But he doesn't know these cards are all in hand. We can see that he's got them both. Yeah. In the real world, you've got to hope that he only has one or the other of those two cards.
Yeah. So I love this play. Even drops the Doomsayer out there to heal himself for 10, so he has enough time to Alexstrasza next turn.
Fantastic. Seiko goes, he's probably going to have to do what you're saying.
Yeah, he's probably going to have to Forbidden Healing and just embrace the Alexstrasza. But he's okay with that because then he just trades off the Alex and drops the Light Lord since he happened to have both. Very fortunate.
Yeah.
He could try and gamble it, but I wouldn't recommend it. When you have the tools to heal out, you usually want to just heal out.
Just take a random 1 in 3 for no particular reason.
Yeah.
Don't think that's going to happen. And there we go. Zummp now going to go for the second part of the plan, where you do it again and hope they don't have blasters.
Right, and he's picked up the Medivh's Valet, so he can do 15 out of hand after setting his opponent to 15, which is usually pretty good.
It is indeed. And obviously, the worst-case scenario here for Zummp is that he clears the board and Seiko's in a whole world of mess. But that is actually going to be what happens. He's going to be able to get rid of these injured minions and heal his own face back up to 23.
That is... that's all the healing, besides True Silver Champion, really, that's in the entire deck.
And Ungoro Pack.
And Ungoro Pack, yeah. So, after Zummp takes out this Light Lord, he still has more damage in his deck, by the way.
10/10 as well. Pretty handy. Do you try and set that up with a Frost Nova on the same turn, maybe next turn?
You probably want to go Antonidas Frost Nova, but I could see a 10-10 coming out fairly soon, sure.
And 10-10s are pretty good at dealing with 8-8s, I hear.
Well, okay. You want to just try and contest it. That's a little risky.
Yeah, just contest it.
He's got a Pyroblast in the deck, another Firelands Portal, so he has plenty of damage.
I've seen an equality go, in theory.
Yeah.
I didn't, but you did.
Yeah. To proc the counterspell, it happened earlier.
And
I'm not so sure.
Drake is going to be capable of doing a job on this board, though.
Is there more? Oh, the Vilespine Slayer gets picked up. Holy smokes. Now Seiko gets to maintain the Ragnaros Lightlord.
Yeah, when you said it was risky, I didn't think you meant quite that risky.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Swamp King Dread is a fantastic answer to Antonidas and other such things, by the way.
It's not a bad one.
It just stops all combo pieces, Doomsayers, Antonidas says it just kills them before you get to do your Frost Nova.
Yeah.
So it demands an answer, while simultaneously just being a massive threatening minion.
Yeah, that is a good Ungaro pack. But Zummp getting really punished for not killing the Ragnaros Lightlord on the previous turn. His deck has enough burn in it if he kills the Ragnaros Lightlord to be able to close out the game with it only healing face once for 8.
But now he's in that position where the block is going to get procced every time he doesn't freeze this board. Of course, this board is running away.
He did not want to see it heal itself there. If it didn't heal itself, then he could more easily deal with it with just a fireball and a ping.
So Antonidas is probably going to be as good now as ever. Things only get worse for you from here on unless you really feel you've got to go even more defensive. But this is probably the only chance you get to get it to stick, because otherwise you're going to be constantly trying to not die anyway. I guess he's counting his damage just in case he feels he can force enough through over 2 turns.
Yeah, he's only got 18.
Yeah. But he's got outs then. That means he can count his outs, work out the maths. He's got 2 turns to do it. He's seen both removal healing spells. Deck lists are open.
Yeah, there's potential outs.
So he could just go at it and see how he fancies his outs. He's got the other ice block in hand.
And it's like a 3-turn lethal setup, though, at this point. And Lightlord needs to never heal face
Yeah, that's
again.
the downside, right? That's another 8 health.
Yeah. He's going to take care of the Lightlord now.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's unfortunate for him, but, well, he could have got rid of it earlier.
Yeah. Pings off the 1-1. Not sure the relevance of that. There's 5-6 damage in play. Paladin only has bursts in numbers of 4.
Eye for an eye. So when the block is procced, the world gets a lot tougher for Zummp, because then you have to only win by Alexing your own face. And unfortunately, that's not happening. It's gone.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll definitely try and lower the amount of time.
Stampede is actually going to do something.
Well, not something very good. Not the card you want to be playing in this matchup.
Kills yourself.
Yeah. But getting this King Dread down, I really like it. Plays around the Archmage Antonidas, makes it so Zummp cannot use that to generate additional fireballs.
He's been gazumped in this situation.
Yeah. Interesting thing, though, if he does freeze first, you can then play the Antonidas.
Right.
When it's frozen, it cannot attack still.
So that's going to have to be his way of doing it. But then, of course, you can't get the fireball from the Antonidas.
Yeah, but at least you get it down. So it's not the worst thing in the world.
Going to start getting procs now, though. Still on 23. With this deck that we don't know what to call it.
It's
just a straight up down the middle hybrid. There's no way to weight it either way.
Nova Doom Discover Freeze Mage.
It's basically, I mean, the plan is it's Freeze Mage with a little bit of extra kick, so you can make...
Yeah, it's just like Freeze Mage with Mana Worms, essentially, and Firelands Portals.
We saw the same sort of thing coming from Show in his Druid, where it's just Druid with Enchanted Ravens to just buy a little bit of early game.
This is a lot more hybrid than that.
Yeah, sure. This is completely... I was going to say it's completely nuts, but it's not that nuts. It's got into the top 8 of DreamHack.
Yeah, it's a cool deck to see for sure.
Good to see Finland represented here as well. Team with a lot of strong powered players.
He's thinking about trying to take Sunkeeper Tarim just for potential utility in the future. And it ends up going with the second-rate Bruiser, as it's a card he can just actually add to the board to add more pressure now.
Just looking at that hand, it's one of those hands where you've got such a wealth of options and nothing really to worry about. Make sure you keep your consecration so you can proc the block. from a distance. Make sure you keep the eye for an eye so you can stop your opponent killing you when he's gone down to 1. And everything else is all much of a muchness in a lot of ways. It's all card advantage. It's all doing its job. Zummp in a world of trouble.
Yeah. Can Zummp set up a Pyroblast lethal? He needs another freeze, and he doesn't have another freeze. Is the kind of the issue here.
Yeah.
He's going to run into a lot of trouble against the Eye for an Eye. Because he's going to try and go like Fireball Ping next turn, for example, and then...
Yeah, Fireball Ping, set up block if needed or leave it if not.
Oh, he's got the counter spell, though. That was the pick off the glyph, and he's going to try and be able to use that appropriately to slow things down here.
And he knows that secret is almost certainly Eye for an Eye. It's been in hand forever. That tends to be the massive giveaway of what it is.
So next turn, he's going to have... Zummp will have Fireball plus Ping plus the counter spell to try and stop the Eye for an Eye.
Yeah.
And when he gets popped, he can go...
Ice block
Pyroblast to the face.
Yeah, Ice block, draw Pyroblast, or Ice block, or just Pyroblast.
Or just Pyroblast.
On ordering.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ice block, Ping, Acolyte, those sort of things. Buy yourself another few cards at getting it. He might be in an okay spot.
Well, Seiko does have the Consecrate to be able to stop the counter spell, but that's the idea, his plan anyway. So, yeah, I like to see the plan. It's pretty cool.
You're not getting 2 cards off that. Just Dread just gets angry. He doesn't like combos.
No, not
Silence Priest hates that card. Just set up your Silence Priest deck. Dread just... No.
It just kills everything.
Just King washes his way through your deck.
Either way, maybe Silence Priest really does like it because then they don't even have to silence their minions. They get value.
Yeah, they don't even have to attack. They
just
get attacked.
So holding on to the Consecrate last turn by Seiko forced him to have to overdraw a card, but it allows him to be able to beat this counter spell and apply this Eye for an Eye. He just needs to make sure that he can pop at 1, which he can do. So attack with the 3-2, the 2-2, the 1-1.
And important to stress that even though this is obvious from where we're sat, this is all stuff he's had to bear in mind for the whole game and juggle and get it right. And make sure he planned this many turns ago when he took the Eye for an Eye, that this is the situation that could arise. And the only way usually around this that I can think of at least is to Alexstrasza own face, and Alexstrasza has gone.
And that's going to be it. He can try an Ice Block and ping the face.
I can't think of any way you can get into a Discover situation where you can glyph into something, into healing. I think I've gone through that all before. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah, there's no healing cards that you can glyph into, so...
And there's no weird card we've missed. Just going to check through the list, given that the deck is a bit odd.
We still have Mana Worms in the bottom there. But, no.
No, just nothing. So it is going to be over unless there's... Yeah, it's just going to be over.
There's the Pyroblast.
And you launch it at face on the off chance this is a bluff.
Well, yeah, for sure. And
just in case.
It may count as a draw.
Yeah, I think it does.
I think it does. I think it's a draw. Yeah, we got a tie.
0-0.
0-0. We're going to probably have a regame based on the tie there. So Zummp able to hold on to it and get a tie. It's going to be a regame.
Yeah. The Eye for an Eye doing that thing that it does, but not enough.
Not enough. But it is enough to get the regame, so that's not that bad.
So what they're going to do now is they're just going to do it all again.
Right.
We now know what the decks are.
Right. We've now figured out that it's hybrid.
Hybrid. Yeah, we don't know what to call it, but we know what it is. And we now know it's Greedy Paladin, and we now also know that those Mana Worms early on didn't seem to really do much.
He didn't even get them, did he?
He got one right at the start.
Oh, did he?
Just got dealt with. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's a pretty interesting matchup, but I'd have to say the Mage's favorite. Like, the Paladin really had to have things line up for it to be a draw at the end there.
Yeah, he did, and he got a good pack as well. But he did also...
That's what I'm saying. Like, he needed a bunch of RNG effects to go his way.
Yeah, he got through both heals early as well, which is another good thing for the Mage. If the
Well, it's a bad thing for the Mage.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If the Paladin doesn't get his
heals, he dies. That's what I'm saying. The Mage seemed very favored.
It's a good thing for the future of this rematch.
Right, exactly. So I'd say Zummp is at a huge advantage in this rematch based on how the first game went. Like, Seiko needed everything to go his way, and at the end of the day, it was still just a draw.
Yeah, this, however, is not the start that Zummp was looking for.
No, this is much worse than a Mana Worm start.
Going to look for those Mana Worms, go look for that card draw, getting none of that. Seiko, there's not much he can wish for, really. You can't apply at the beatdown.
Yeah, as the Paladin player, usually your game plan is to try and outlast the Freeze Mage, which gets increasingly harder to do when they add Antonitis and double Firelands Portal to the deck.
Right.
Because that's a lot more damage that you just can't possibly have enough heal for.
And that actually makes sense in a lot of ways in a format where people have been saying, hey, Freeze Mage runs out of damage. Well, put more damage in.
Right. So the most damage here is Molten Reflection. You can go Antonitis, Molten Reflection.
Oh, no.
And then play the other glyph card.
That's mean.
But you would have to get a 1 mana costing glyph card. So going with the Firelands Portal is...
But you can set that up. If that's going for an even longer drawn-out game, you can definitely do that.
Yeah, try and go for the crazy amount of fireballs off that. Because you do get a lot. And you get 2 Antonitis, which is always pretty sweet. RO8's keeping an interesting card, by the way. Looking through some win rates earlier on for N'Zoth Paladin. And it's just one of the lowest win rate cards in the deck. It's one of the worst mulligan cards in your deck if it's in your hand after mulligan. Huh. It's like it's slowly but surely over the years got outvalued. Just because I guess everything, like a lot of the control decks, it's not very good against, and it's not so good against aggro.
Yeah, it's not so good against 8/8 Jade Druid because they put a 9/9 down next turn.
Right, exactly.
So it doesn't really stem the tide like you would imagine. Your instinct is this card's amazing, it's outdoor, it swings the board. But actually the stats say, you know what, it doesn't really do as much as it looks like.
It makes sense. You know, the control decks of the current metagame are something like what Zump's playing, which, you know, make the minions small all you want. I'm still going to fireball you to death. Or
yeah,
the Quest Rogue is another, you know, kind of control deck or combo deck.
Yeah, have a 1/5 to go with your other 7 5/5s.
Right, and then the Jades obviously explained that problem. There's just so many of them. So yeah, I could see it being not the...
I'm not saying it's a card that needs replacing. It's just that when you look through the list, it sticks out like a sore thumb that this card is actually just not value in the current metagame. And you're not killing them with it. No. Because you're not doing anything else till turn 7 anyway.
Combos with Kodo really nicely to remove threats, though.
Yeah.
Well, do you just start launching it?
Oh, just who needs Alexstrasza? Just
I mean, you get a 5 drop off the Firelands Portal.
6, 12, 17, make a minion. All right. Yeah, let's do it. Let's launch. I'm all for it.
I don't hate it. I could also understand just taking the slower route here, playing the ice block, pinging your opponent's 1/1. And waiting for Alexstrasza. I think, honestly, if you wait for Alexstrasza, your win rate's probably higher because you have so much damage that you have inevitability if Alexstrasza connects for 15. Whereas if you just throw out your burn all willy-nilly, your opponent may be able to still out-heal it.
I feel that with 2 Firelands in hand, though, you can launch the first one, get some sort of board presence, make them mess around dealing with that, and then maybe just chill.
But there wasn't a good target for it, though.
Sure, yeah, you're waiting for a lease or something, obviously, if you don't do it.
Yeah. Now he's got the question again. Do we wait for Alexstrasza or do we try and tempo out these Firelands Portal minions? How much does he want to go for the burn plan? How much does he want to go for the, you know, Discover Mage plan?
Yeah, and how much does he just want... Yeah. I was just thinking about this Acolyte here. There's not really bad things that can happen. Just check you don't overdraw because this will go through his whole deck. If Alexstrasza is the bottom card, etc.
Yeah.
You don't want to burn it.
Zummp committing to the Freeze Mage plan, which makes sense to do when you're playing a very Freeze Magey deck. All right, for any of the new viewers just joining the stream, this is a rematch. Seiko versus Zummp. This exact matchup had just happened, and it ended in a draw.
Yeah, you're playing best of 5s. You can't have a 2-2.5.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, we play it again, and we make sure that we get a winner. It happened because eye for an eye. When you die, it instantaneously hits your opponent for the same amount, and he died as well. Yeah. So everybody's dead, Dave.
Everybody's dead. He's stopping for waiting for Alexstrasza. Committing the burn now, says, you know what, I got the Pyroblast already. I have to make this happen. The amount of pressure that's coming out is too much, which is something you got to recognize with this deck. There's no blizzards in it for Zummp, so he has a lot less stalls than Freeze Mage. So he doesn't have as much time to wait around for Alexstrasza as a normal Freeze Mage deck would.
Yeah, the upside of what he's done is he doesn't need as much time normally because he's hitting you with Mana Worms and Firelands. So
right, and then
that's how it balances out.
It's a really interesting deck.
He's got the value you're talking about here out this Kodo. It doesn't need to be something big that it kills, that you're populating the board with a nice wide board and getting the tempo at the same time from that combo.
There's the Alexstrasza now, though, but he can bait out the Forbidden Healing like he did the first game. So that's an important thing as well. So now he's going to get Seiko into a range where he could potentially die. Seiko's going to panic, use the Forbidden Healing, then Alexstrasza comes down. So
and
now
this time, no Ragnaros.
Yeah, this time there's no Ragnaros. So he needs to figure out how much damage does he need to commit to try and force Forbidden Healing to happen, because he wants it to happen in such a way that allows him to play Alexstrasza on curve. But he doesn't want to overcommit burn to where he can't kill afterwards.
Yeah, and just going to start representing nasty things happening.
Yeah, if he plays the Medivh's Valet, he sets up lethal, so this forces the action. There needs to be a heal from Seiko or he will die.
This goes back to that turn where he didn't Firelands Portal, by the way, because he's kept the ability to do 11 damage from hand in one turn, which is usually pretty difficult if you use up one of your fireballs. Forcing, like you say, the panic healing. It's not even a panic healing, it's a forced healing because you're going to die.
Right.
That's not panicking, that's making sense.
Yeah.
Then Alexstrasza will put to 15.
It's like we're watching the exact same game.
It is, except this time Seiko hasn't got so much of a nut draw in terms of the healing available, in terms of the pack that helped him out.
At the same time, though, Zummp doesn't have the ability to kill after he Alexstrasza's here.
Right,
so.
Doesn't have the second block.
Yeah, he doesn't have the second block. He hasn't had any of the Frost Novas, so he's really actually getting overwhelmed by Control Paladin pressure.
You say that in such a happy way.
It's not something you see every day. Control Paladin really sucks at pressure.
Seiko's done a good job of keeping this weapon charge, which means that when the block has gone, even if his board gets frozen, just hits you in the face with his face. And
I think Zummp needs to take the time to clear the board here. Or
yeah, that's not where he wanted to be, but I agree.
Yeah. He can leave up just the Kodo.
And we're laughing about the Paladin pressure, which means that this is a rare instance. He shouldn't be able to just go, oh, here's 4 more things, let's do it again. Like, if you deal with this board, it stays dealt with.
Right.
It's not like Shaman, where they just redo it.
Yeah, but you're still leaving up the Kodo, you're still taking 3. Your opponent does not need to have too much developed to be threatening lethal yet again. It's a rough spot for sure.
Might be able to get him to use up the True Silver, though, which gives you less. You can actually survive on 1 and then not be able to kill you if they haven't got the Consecration, for instance.
Hydrologist going to be looking for eye for an eye a lot of the time. Oof.
Yeah, could do with another draw.
Yeah, worst case, you know, you get a draw. But a lot of times it offers a pretty good checkmate situation.
Not offered there. No Kodo for value either, so going to have to take a normal card. Something not too busted.
Yeah, Redemption's kind of crummy.
Both players playing with huge hand sizes here. This is where N'Zoth always fascinates me. I get it. I get that it's nice to have a N'Zoth with Tyrion. It seems good. But the number of times it just seems to sit in hand the whole game being a 5/7.
It does do that a lot. But it offers a lot of power in the Paladin Mirror, which is why a lot of players include
And we've already seen that Paladin Mirror is a
then
thing.
Zummp took that 1 level further with his Paladin, and he has included not only the N'Zoth package, but also a Ysera. So he wins that Paladin Mirror a lot of the time.
Yeah. Might not be a thing we see, though, if he gets through this already.
It's looking kind of dicey. The Doomsayer, though, is threatened on board, and he maintained this Medivh's Valet from earlier, as well as developed an Acolyte this turn to help against potential Stampeding Kodo, which is fantastic.
Interesting. He's on 7, but close to being stable here.
Well, the thing is, Seiko can push with the True Silver Champion.
So that's 4.
And then threaten with the Rallying Blade for the rest of the game. So he really needs to swing with his True Silver Champion. Force Zummp to have to Alexstrasza himself. Not the secrets you want.
Again.
Yeah. No eye for an eye.
So you've had a 60% chance twice, which is what? 60? Yeah, something like 16% chance of double failure. Bit unfortunate, but not beyond the realms. And spoiled for choice. I wonder if it would have been wise here to keep one of those secrets back for the entire game.
Just to bluff the eye.
Pretend it's eye for an eye.
Yeah, I think there's.
Because I don't think you're going to get any value out of them.
Right, they're not really doing anything.
So I think you get more value out of the bluff and make your opponent have to sort of do cartwheels to beat you.
I also want to see him swing. Set up so you can threaten the pop with the Rallying Blade easier.
Yeah.
But he does have the Redemption there. The one thing he does get is the Redemption allows him to be setting up lethal still, but it's a 3/1 that can be you know, pinged off.
Yeah, just to point out, there is no ice barrier. He knows it's not anyway, but there isn't one. Right. So there's no reason in this world not to swing ever.
Well, the reason why he's not swinging is because he's playing around Alexstrasza's self-heal.
Yeah, but... Yeah, sure. But you want to make him do that. You don't mind gaining 12 health by making your opponent do that.
Sure.
Because even though it's got more burn than usual, has it's still fairly limited amounts. It's not like unlimited evolved kobolds amount of burn in your deck where you just burn down all their minions and you've still got like 60 left in your hand. Double Mana Worm turns 1 million and 1 million and 1. Not the time you want them.
You could play them to help around Stampede and Kodo. If you want.
Sure.
You may hold on to them and think that they can get a little bit better in the future, but...
Yeah, that's an idea. There's only one Kodo in the deck, and he has seen it, though. So...
Has he?
Yeah. He
must not think that there's one.
It was very early. Or was that in the first game?
That might have been the first game. We've seen this matchup twice, remember?
Yeah. So that was the first game, I think.
Quality Primordial Drake, threatening the pop once again, trying to disable the Alexstrasza unless there is 15 points of burn in the hand for Zummp. He does not have 15 points of burn yet, but... Yeah.
Seiko.
Well, also one of the things about the True Silver as well is it makes it so your opponent needs 17 points of burn to kill in one turn, but he is going to be swinging now. Like, I wish he would have swung earlier because the Rallying Blade could have came out already. He was really afraid of potentially, though, Zummp having 15 in one turn. So if Zummp were to Alex and then just do 15 in one turn, Seiko has no healing in his hand and would just die.
Sure, okay, so that's the 2 health. That'll be the reasoning.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have any healing. He's just got 1 Forbidden Healing, which is gone, 1 Ragnaros, which is hiding.
Yeah.
Don't know how you hide a massive 8/8 Light Lord, but...
Found a way.
Found a way. Somewhere behind a lamppost.
So now Zummp is in a terrible position. Even after he clears this minion, and he has to do so quite inefficiently.
Well, that's efficient.
That isn't bad.
7 mana, kill it off.
He's going to be getting popped. I imagine you want to maintain as much board as possible.
Yeah, by leaving the Leroy up, it does kind of force your opponent to use their Consecration up.
Right.
Which is something that...
The disadvantage is a lot of burn to expend because the 6 damage the Leroy is doing to the face isn't too relevant as you have the Alexstrasza.
I guess it is because you're going to have to Alexstrasza your own face because you're in trouble. So the 6 of face is actually relevant. And any reason not to proc here?
You want to be able to pop, and then all you have to do after that is kind of answer Alexstrasza. You should be able to have enough life total to sustain, right?
Aldor in hand, so there's ways and means. Equality, Pyro in hand. There's more ways and means. Plenty of ways.
Yeah, you can go Pyro, Quality, Doomsayer. Set up for if the Alexstrasza comes down, the Alexstrasza dies for nothing, which is fantastic. You don't have too much of a board built up, but neither does your opponent, and they don't have too many ways of getting enough damage to kill you, as well as being at 3 health. They have to be committed to the 9 mana Alexstrasza self-play.
Yeah, trying to work out any other way this can happen, but no, just going to kill the Alexstrasza with the Doom, so there's just no other solution. So that's a lot of things that have been dealt with, but Archmage is still alive, and at the moment, I don't think we haven't seen Tyrion. Have we seen any other death battles? Are there any other death battles? So this would just be a 5/7 old god. There's not actually much to do here for Seiko.
Not the most powerful pushes in the world, for sure. He wants to try and maybe hold on to Sunkeeper Terram to use it to help get trades against an Archmage Antonidas.
And it's so hard for this Paladin deck to finish games. You were saying this yesterday. It's like, this deck, it can get into these powerful positions and then say, oh, I should have put something in here that wins the game.
Yeah, so he's sending out N'Zoth the Corruptor as the minion that will hopefully stick around to contest the Archmage Antonidas, if that is to come out.
Yeah, it needs dealing with as well for Zummp.
Well, not necessarily.
Let's have a look.
Burn him in the face. So right now he has 15 Now he's gained an additional 6 damage. It's getting pretty close. That's 21 damage, 24 with the Medivh's Valet. If there is no Ragnaros the Light Lord found for Seiko,
right,
he is going to die. It is going to take him a long time to administer all of that burn, though. That's the big thing. That's 3 turns worth of chucking stuff at Seiko's face.
And don't forget, Seiko can just kill his opponent in 2 or 3 turns himself. That's a counterspell is up?
A counterspell is up, yeah.
So that's going to be no ice block.
Yeah, Zummp still has the 1 ice block remaining in the deck, and his deck is thinning out quite nicely. So he'll be finding it soon. All right, guys, once again, this is a rematch between Seiko and Zummp. There was a draw in the first game they played against each other. Eye for an Eye was procced by Pyroblast. While the Paladin was dead, it sent the Pyroblast right back at Zump's face, the mage, and both players died. So we are having a regame because of that.
And, yep, using resources there to set up what could be next turn lethal. Is there another True Silver in the deck, maybe? No, there's only the one. Yeah, that's usually the case when you play the Rallying Blade as well. You tend to mix it up a bit.
There's 1 True Silver, 1 Rallying Blade. So even though it looks like Seiko could be setting up for a lethal here, if Zummp has memorized the deck lists appropriately, he should know that there's no way he can die.
Spike-Ridge Steed Consecration.
Oh, Spike-Ridge Steed Consecration can get him.
Whoa.
He's got the Consecrate in hand.
Yeah.
So that's something to fear. But
yeah, terrified.
I don't think you can afford to play around it.
No, I don't
have
think
enough
you can.
time.
These cards are relatively new in the hand. It's not like they've been sitting there either, so...
Well, so Ice Block kind of Ice Block plus some of the burn plays around it because you have to do that anyway. So it's fine, but you still have only 1 hope. It's just burning your opponent in the face.
Yeah, resource management says if you start killing everything here, you never get the job done.
You don't have enough cards to do that. But this works out just fine. He's able to have 15 points of burn left and safely play around Spike-Ridge.
So yeah, well, you can lower their clock then, sure enough.
Right. So fantastic identification there by Zummp, realizing, hey, I don't need this additional 3. I have the Firelands Portal plus ping for 6, then the Pyro for the final 10.
Yeah, and that's how it's going to pan out. But there's packs now to mess things up. There's Ragnaros Light Lord is still in there.
Hey,
does that mean that Elise...
a little bit of damage with the value trade there, making it so the Ragnaros Light Lord is less likely for him to win the game.
Wondering if playing Elise is right there. I guess it sets up lethal, so it probably is, but lethal was set up anyway. Now if he draws the pack, that's not a Ragnaros.
Yeah. He needed to play Sunkeeper Tarim last turn. Sunkeeper Tarim last turn sets up lethal and sets all of his minions' health to 3/3s, and then the Light Lord is going to be healing his face.
Plus, there's no pack in there to get in the way of the Light Lord.
Yeah, plus you have a higher chance of drawing the Light Lord. That's huge. If he had went with that line of play, Zummp can't afford the additional ping, ping one of the minions to lower the odds of Light Lord, so Light Lord would have had a 100% chance to heal Seiko's face.
Let's see if he gets away with it.
Wow.
Oh my
He still gets
goodness.
rewarded. Yeah, that was a really sloppy play, but he's able to get out of it.
And now it's... Yeah. Okay.
Leroy.
Got to freeze this all up.
He's got to hope there's no Consecrate.
And then there's Glyph action. So the Tarim going to be played anyway just to get in the way.
Well, he's got lethal. He just consecrates him and kills him.
All that.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
That's what I thought. I don't know what I was thinking there.
He was picking up the Tarim, so I guess it's a little confusing.
I just think he was on 3 for some reason.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And he finally gets there.
The Paladin actually able to take it forced to draw game 1 and then came back to win against the Mage. And I like the way both the players were really playing that. There was some fantastic plays there, especially from Zummp being so far behind. He was almost died most of the game there and clawed his way to set up a cute little lethal there. But
makes you wonder how he would have done, though, if it was just Freeze Mage. The Mana Worms didn't really play a part.
Well, the Firelands portals were very helpful.
They were?
Yeah. It looks like Zummp is going to be queuing up his Paladin, so we are going to have that Control Paladin mirror, or, I mean, N'Zoth Paladin mirror. Now, Zummp has teched for this matchup. Zummp is running N'Zoth, Karen, and Ysera in his N'Zoth Paladin.
Yeah, Ysera, massive value difference. This game goes to...
Fatigue, a lot
near
of
enough, or goes to Fatigue.
Right.
And Ysera's just 3 cards.
It's pretty freaking massive to have that in there.
And when your opponent knows that's in there, that means they have to hold their equality consecrations or equality clears for longer because they can't afford to let it live. So you might get away with some other stuff early on. You might get a little board that develops they can't afford to clear, because if you clear it, you're going to drop an Asira in their face.
Yeah, and Seiko, on the other hand, he has Elise instead of Karen in his N'Zoth Paladin, so his N'Zoth only really brings back Tyrion.
But he gets the early use out of Elise, possibly, which is potentially 5 extra cards.
Could help him.
The only thing with Elise in these very card-heavy mirrors is sometimes actually finding space to open that pack.
Oh, yeah. It's really difficult to empty your hand in an N'Zoth Paladin mirror.
Right.
Yeah, so that does make Elise a little bit hard to operate.
It's not quite the extra 5 cards it feels like. You do have to almost dump some of the cards to get the new cards.
Mm-hmm. But I would say Zummp is an extreme favorite in the matchup just based on how threat dense he is, and he rolled Tyrion, so that helps as well.
Double Tyrion, and of course no pressure going to be coming from either side, so you can just pick pure and utter value.
Another tech card from Zump's deck, he has a Spellbreaker in there, which defeats Spikeridge Steed and
Tyrion.
Can beat down Tyrion, can stop Doomsayers from going off, and can do a lot of work in the getaway Kodo / redemption kind of standoffs that often happen in this matchup, where both players have a Tyrion against each other with a secret up.
Right.
You can then just silence their Tyrion and kill something else, removing the getaway Kodo.
Yeah, and getting rid of the all-important Ashbringer, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So, what matters in the early game in this game?
Seiko's thinking about just extending this Kodo. It's full tempo.
So this is Seiko acknowledging that Asira and all the tech cards that are against him and going, you know what, I've got to find a way to become the aggressor no matter how sad.
Yeah, he's like, I need to push as aggressively as possible. Even though Kodo has a lot of fantastic targets in this matchup and works well with Aldor, he can't beat the sheer amount of value in Zump's deck, so he has to play full tempo. And it might work.
I mean, it's not that easy for Zummp to easily deal with his Kodo twice, but it's not going to do a lot of damage to him. He just stick something in the way at some point and get on with it.
No fear for the Spellbreaker, realizes he needs to just push.
Yeah, you've got to make a decision and go for it. This 110 Kodo is a potential, but no, Zump's just going to meet fire with fire and develop his board.
He's got so much gas in his deck that he doesn't care that a 5/10 is just value trading his Karen.
How do you like this turn 10 N'Zoth after going Karen into Tyrion?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he's like, yeah, you can kill my Karen for free. I don't care. As long as it slows you down from your aggressive game plan, it's fine enough for me. My deck is just...
And it's interesting because he's not scared of doing that. And meanwhile, Seiko's not scared of saying, okay, I know what you're doing. I'm just going to try and make any board I feasibly can just to try to force through some damage. And Zump's on 27. And Seiko's on 24.
Yeah, they're not really pushing all that much damage. Tyrion's going to help. You'll be able to get an early Ashbringer. He's also got, like, as far as aggression is concerned, Seiko has one of the most aggressive curves you can get for a N'Zoth Paladin. He's going to be able to have Tyrion on 9 and N'Zoth on 10 if he wants it.
But there is that Spellbreaker, so when Zump's ready, he will be able to stop whatever nastiness Seiko dreams up in terms of trying to set up a 2-turn lethal at some point in the distant future. Zummp can just stop that from happening.
No Tyrion coming down to extend the pressure. He wants to try and, you know, weave in and out around the fear of equality.
Yeah, Zummp. This is another thing you have to worry about a lot of the time when you're playing against Pirates. You don't have to worry about every card in their deck because they only have 1 left. You're playing against N'Zoth, they've got 10 cards in hand. You have to worry about pretty much everything because they haven't played anything for 10 turns. It's just
decent Spellbreaker value, but not great. He's likely going to try and save that for Tyrion, I imagine.
Got his safety net Forbidden Healing as well now, so however he sees the strategy panning out, he can just go for it, trust his instinct.
Yeah, he's going to take the Spellbreaker value here. It removes a 2/6, and it removes 2 attack from the minion, but it stays at 8 health still.
Okay.
Yeah. Seiko's still firmly ahead on the board, but maybe not for the longest time now.
Yeah, so many ways to clear it up for Zummp when Zummp is ready. And then Seiko's going to have to run the gauntlet. Maybe, I mean, his idea is to draw out 1 lot of equality clear, N'Zoth, and hope the second one's not there.
Right, that's the plan. And Zump's plan is to not a quality clear until the N'Zoth comes down.
Right, and the Forbidden Healing will help him just be a bit greedier with that. The Consecration, the Drake, or the Million Tyrians.
Yeah.
All those things will just help him.
He's going with the equality right now.
All right. So that means he now has to use all those cards I was talking about to fend off this second wave when it comes, and he may well be able to do that.
All that comes out is, and he's being a bit aggressive with his Ashbringer, which I really like to see because he has more coming. Plenty more Ashbringers coming, so I really like just swinging that 5 there.
Yeah, for sure. There's no way you're going to get through all those charges in an efficient manner, so just stick them on someone's face to 15 points, make them waste a healing later on.
And Seiko doesn't want to play the N'Zoth right now because he doesn't want his second Tyrion dying so quickly because he hasn't really made use of this Ashbringer yet. And he wants to be able to get some of the charges used up before the Ashbringer comes.
Always feels bad when you're the aggressor in a matchup and your opponent's damaging you with collateral damage faster than your actual aggression.
Well, the aggression is starting to pay off. He's getting something sticking now. Getting that Sunkeeper Terram to push through. Seiko keeps on the tempo.
Yep. He's done a good job of that, actually. He's done a good job of making sure that something's happening every turn.
Yeah, I like the way he's been playing the game. It's how you have to play when you could look at these deck lists and see how much greedier your opponent's is. So taking the line that actually gives him a chance to win.
And it only sounds like 1 or 2 cards, but in a game that goes all the way close to fatigue, you just get the net effect of all of those cards by the end of the game, which means that the greed will just pay off. Wondering why, oh, well, maybe they don't draw those cards. No, they do draw those cards because we go 28 turns.
Right.
The hard bit for Seiko is factoring in, the bit that I just questioned there. It's like, well, I've got to put as much tempo on as possible. At some point, you have to think, well, maybe he won't draw X, Y, Z in the next 2 or 3 turns, just to be sure. So you've got to force as much as you can, but you can't just go around wasting stuff.
Even though he's putting on all this pressure, which is great, like, Zump's about to revive a Karen and 2 Tyrions.
Doesn't seem very fair.
Yeah, like...
I'm trying so hard.
Yeah, sometimes that's just how things pan out. Neither of those Tyrions were the one from his deck either.
That's nice for him.
Yeah. He's got a good trade here, too, with the 1-1 punching into the 6-6. Then you get an Ashbringer, and then you can swing in with that.
Yeah. Got healing in hand for days.
I like playing N'Zoth.
I like taking 75 seconds for this turn. Big time.
A lot of the time, you kill your opponent pretty quick. You could also try and like land a Spike Ridge Steed and push with that. I think either way, you should just always be pushing in this kind of situation.
Okay. Consecration does clear up these Divine Shields. It seems a fairly efficient way of using it. You're not going to get many Consecrates in this game. But yeah, he's going to do it with this. This is another way of clearing up those Divine Shields. Yeah. Building a board, getting a Spike Ridge Steed to do something. And also saving the N'Zoth for, not emergencies, because there's going to be no emergencies in a hurry, but for later.
And setting up Tyrion Redemption. That's the important part.
Right.
So this
because he needs another one.
Yeah. This way he can get 3, potentially 4.
Yeah, 3 that aren't in his deck.
That's pretty cool.
So for those of you who don't own Tyrion, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just
build this deck anyway.
Yeah. You just need the N'Zoth and Stonehill defenders and hydrologists, and boom, 4 Tyrions every game.
Seems good. Seiko, yeah.
He's going to be the one making the first big push. 1 equality already have been used from Zummp, so he could be able to get rewarded from this aggression. Holds back the attack.
Oops.
Make sure to try and play around the redemption, but the second equality being drawn.
And he no longer has to save it for the N'Zoth, because the N'Zoth's been played.
Yeah, this is basically all the threats in Seiko's deck now. He's got his Stonehill Defender cards out there. He's got his Tyrion. It's been killed and brought back by the N'Zoth now. So really all that's left is Rag Lightlord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now Zummp just not even bothering, well, he's bothering to think, but not for very long. The decision is easy. Look, you can just clear this.
Drop the Doomsayer, guaranteeing that you get another 5 next turn from your Ashbringer and the clean board for N'Zoth.
Yeah, and he's been the defender, and he's the one who's setting up lethal before the defense is even stabilized. Well, it's just stabilized now.
Yeah.
Setting up 1 turn lethal if he wants it.
Well, he was on the back foot until he drew that second equality. Right. Without that, he would have definitely had some troubles here. He probably would have still been able to clear it, but not in this kind of spectacular fashion, you know.
Turns out that if you hit your opponent with a weapon for 5 a turn, for something like 12 turns, that's a lot.
Yeah, they start dying pretty quick. So, is Seiko gonna hold on to the Gluttonous Ooze for a different Ashbringer? There's a couple more.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'll just pick any old Ashbringer with his ooze.
You got plenty of them.
No hurry. That's probably the worst true silver champion in the history of Hearthstone.
Yeah, it's not going to get all that much spectacular value with Dr. Karen and his boombots of Tyrians here.
That's one of the worst Dr. anythings I think we've done in this whole tournament.
They kind of look, the bubbles make them boombody, right? They're nice and circular Tyrians.
Yeah?
Yeah. And they deal, you know, kind of like boombots. They deal 5 damage to something.
Yeah, to everything, pretty much. They do 6, then 5 more. Yeah.
And
they bring a lot of ash to the party.
Tons of ash, like a bomb would.
Yeah,
see,
like
it's
that.
a boombot.
Seems good. Worked it out.
So it's Dr. Karen and his Tyrians.
We got there. I'm not sure where we got, but we definitely got there.
None of these secrets are what you want to be seeing. You really want the getaway code, though. The Repentance doesn't have too many targets left hitting. The threats are already on the table. But it seemed to be the best of the ones available. And that's going to be a lot of damage being sent through.
Yep.
Not enough.
Just watched it happen in real time. It's quite exciting when you don't count it up.
Yeah.
Is it lethal? Is it not? Because we know it's lethal next turn, so it doesn't matter. But
you can't stop this.
Yeah,
this
you just watch and see if it's lethal.
Yeah, it's the roller coaster is going.
Can it be 1-1?
Yeah. I mean, this is expected, right? Like, it's really hard for Seiko's Paladin to defeat Zumpp's super greedy Paladin.
In fact, like, Seiko will be happy because he got the win against the mage,
right?
Which is like, even though it's 1-1, it's like a bonus 1-1 that he wasn't really expecting.
Yeah, that's a big deal to be able to get the win against the mage like that.
So now things change because Seiko has the availability of the Jade Druid that wasn't banned that we were talking about at the start.
And he's likely to be playing that here when Zumpp's tech choices, although they are really greedy, they are kind of okay at helping you pressure. You know, you have proactive things like Ysera that you could just drop down. You have Karen that you can just drop down against the Druid and try and pressure them. So Seiko is favored with the Druid, but I would say maybe less favored than if it were to be just a standard control Paladin, just because Zummp does have threats.
Yeah, interesting lists, right? It's great how you can have somebody who we don't know much about in the top 8 with lists that make sense.
Yeah.
With just 1 or 2 cards that he's changed around and they're working for him.
It seems just kind of like the lists a lot of the other players are playing in the top 8 with just slightly better tech cards.
The Mage with no name. There is proof of the Ysera, in case you thought we were going crazy.
And this is the deck that you mentioned earlier. There's the mind control tech in here.
Yeah.
So Seiko has figured out, you know, that the most popular counter to Druid was the Evolved Shaman.
Yes.
And then included mind control tech to be able to sometimes beat his counter.
Pretty good when your opponent's got 4 Tyrians on the board.
Yeah, that could work pretty well too. But yeah, just seeing so many Shamans in this tournament and that being the go-to counter in LHS to take down Jade Druid, when you can make your matchup against your counter a little bit better, sometimes you can cause some upsets and just take 3-0 sweeps and series.
Yeah, the ability to play a 3-3 and steal one of their things they're trying to buff at the same time.
Even if it's a 1-1.
It's just a massive swing,
yeah.
Right? It's just a massive swing.
Even if it's a 1-1, it's still insane. It's like a 3-mana 5-5 worth of swing almost.
And yeah, we may well get to see that one yet.
Zummp is good at finding Tyrion.
He is. But is it the right choice in this matchup? Yeah, it probably is, but...
It's close to not being the right choice because he already has one.
Right.
And he's got really nothing to do. Like, he's about to True Silver and then go into turn 5, which he's going to Hero Power at right now. So it was actually kind of close to take Psychotron. So that's the hesitation there.
And we're going to see over the next couple of turns the Psychotron... We're going to see how that pans out. That could go either way because there's going to be a lot of Jades played very rapidly here by Seiko.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Sometimes Tyrion's not the pick.
Like in the last game, you picked Tyrion all day long because you're not dying ever.
Right. And
but
this
game, deck can put some pressure on you.
Yeah, you're not the one with inevitability, really. They're the one with inevitability, so they can turn up the heat eventually. And they outvalue you because their value is infinite.
Yeah, so...
Even 6 Tyrions can't stop Jade Golems if they get big enough.
That's a scary thought. Who do we call to save the world?
Not Tyrion.
No.
I guess Jade Golems.
But good ones.
Good ones.
Not evil ones.
Good ones on our side, you know. Yeah.
Make our own quickly.
Right.
Jade Golem mirrors. Seiko's hand is pretty much perfect as long as he picks up some card draw anytime soon. With a double Wrath, he'll be able to probably manipulate into that position anyway. But for now, he can just keep making Jades. And the card draw usually comes in the end.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, you just keep making Jades.
He keeps drawing the Jade cards, and that's what you want to be doing with the Jade deck. So
not scared of the Tyrians, just getting on with it now, getting some value out of the use, moving on with his life, presenting a board. He knows if Zummp sits around equality consecrating this, then Zump's losing because he can't equality consecrate a real board later.
Well, he might actually equality consecrate.
Well, he may have forced it to have to.
Well, he just has nothing better to do, and he wants to maintain tempo.
Exactly.
So if you equality consecrate here, then next turn you have the ability to drop Curator on a potentially, you know, cleaner board, if not empty, and then you just follow up into Tyrion Redemption after that. You don't have time in that sequence to equality consecrate because your curve is Curator, Tyrion Redemption, and then N'Zoth.
I guess with N'Zoth after 2 Tyrions, sure.
Yeah, I love it. I want to see this board gone.
From where Seiko sat, though, he doesn't mind seeing it. He will when he sees the 4 turns afterwards, but he's set up that if this is equality consecrated, his plan is just to go bigger Jade, bigger Jade, bigger Jade. Where's your equality consecration?
Yeah, yeah. He's going to choose to run out the Spellbreaker here and just try and fight on the board with minions. Next turn.
Turns 8 to 11 of this one are going to be massive. They're just going to be thumping into each other with huge minions, with really big value minions.
Right. So the board gets cleared there. Now he goes equality consecrate Redemption into Tyrion.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he gets a little bit more value than he was going to out of that by holding on that 1 extra turn.
Yeah, that works out nicely for him. The Jade Behemoth was committed there. He could also go Pyromancer Equality Redemption. He could potentially just play the Curator, but I think this is a little bit too much pressure to make it
I feel the
awkward.
Curator still gets beaten down and Seiko keeps some stuff, which is not where you want to be. So the downside of waiting a turn is that he didn't get to drop the Curator this turn. The upside is that he's killed more stuff.
Yeah, he killed more stuff, and he got a little bit of heal out of the hero power and the Spellbreaker. So it worked out really nicely for him. I'd say a lot better than going for trying to develop the Curator, as the Curator is just not very strong. So I liked his sequencing there of those turns.
Tyrion is going to take on the Jades.
Will it be victorious?
He'll need it to be. If not, he'll have to find another Tyrion from somewhere, like the left-hand side of his hand. If that one doesn't work, N'Zoth's going to have a say.
Yeah.
He's like, if 1 Tyrion's not good enough, let's try 2 at once.
Seiko needs to find that Gadget Sand or that Nourish. He hasn't found any of that yet, and he's starting to fizzle out now. The second Wrath being used for additional card draw here.
Yeah. And...
or maybe not.
I think it's a good idea. I like it. Because his hand just says, if I draw a Gadget Sand, I win.
Yeah, then you just get to cycle your entire deck.
So get into it. Find that Gadget Sand.
Right. Wild Growth. No, Jade Blossom, okay.
Sure. It's actually quite a big deal.
Right, and you don't want to proc the Secret yet, so you do not kill the Tyrion.
Sure.
It'll just be disastrous. Getaway Kodo is a bummer, as well as Redemption just causes huge havoc.
So second Tyrion might be a play here, especially going into N'Zoth. I don't see why you wouldn't. He's not shown any willingness to kill your first one.
Yeah.
Here's another. Deal with that.
It's a pretty good board. With a nice little Secret up there as well.
Oh,
there we go.
Things are about to change, and they're about to change big time.
Yeah.
He played for this, in fairness. Last turn, he was cycling through to try and find it. Without those cycles, he wouldn't have got here. And now he's just going to be able to draw a card after card. There's your Wild Growth.
Yeah.
That you wanted to see out of your, you know, spitefulness. There's the MC Tech. Might be pretty good against the board of 4 Tyrions. I was only joking when I said it earlier. We're not that far.
It might actually happen, yeah.
That'd be great. Oh, if Druid has Tyrion on their side, it's in such a great spot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Just backing up the Jades. Can afford to eat the damage if he wants.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Ashbringer hurts, but Druid heals a lot.
Yeah, he's going to draw more.
He needs to draw his entire deck and go infinite, so as much draw as possible.
Yeah, towards setting up that second time, right? Just get on with it now. Your idea is to get through 5 or 6 cards.
He still has 2 Nourishes and a second gadget remaining.
Yeah.
So his deck is pretty thick.
And Nourish is fantastic when you want to go infinite and you have to burn the second Auctioneer. If that comes along, you just fill your deck with 3 and then you always get all 3 in one turn. It basically functions like a 1-turn Gadget Sand. And that's all you need. You don't need 3 turns of Gadget Sands when you get to the end.
Right. Well. You can play 2 Tyrians this turn if you want. Not very good, though.
Killing off the first Tyrion and Ashbringering something seems like a good starting point.
And by something, you mean Gadgets and Auctioneer.
Yeah, seems likely, right?
Yeah, so trading off the first Tyrion to do that, and then maybe Aldor the 8/8 seems very reasonable.
Try and keep the other one alive for a while. Oh, there's Ysera, so the value game is still strong with this one.
Yeah, the amount of threats in this Paladin deck, good lord.
Yeah, you wouldn't ever win this mirror. That's what you were saying earlier.
Right, yeah.
Seiko recognized it. He just tried to kill you and lost whilst Zummp was still like 20-something.
Yeah, he's putting on so much pressure right now that he might be able to deal enough damage when the Jades start coming down.
Zummp hasn't had 4 minions on the board at any one point.
Right, playing around that mind control tech.
That's how open deck lists work.
Yeah, you got to be afraid of that guy. But
this is still the quarterfinals, so these guys will have looked at this a lot with their friends last night. Semi-finals is a bit more accelerated sometimes, but quarterfinal, you know your exact opponent in their deck. You get a lot of practice in. And one of the traps of this deck is potentially getting that N'Zoth down with too many minions. You may have to. You may have to just do it, because otherwise you lose to the infinite value, but...
The N'Zoth seems quite powerful here.
It does.
As well as Ysera. They're not bad either.
Yeah, Ysera, whilst Awakens is still actually usable in hurting these golems, might not be the worst thing. Because when they're 11-11s, what does Ysera Awakens actually do? Like, nothing.
Combos with the second Ysera Awakens.
Of course.
Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe getting that down sooner rather than later is a thing. Seiko's... He's not out of stuff because he's playing Jade Druid, but his hand currently is a little bit awkward to manage.
Yeah, he's going to draw like a Jade Idol or something.
Yeah.
Or a Nourish.
He's got
Most of his deck is...
A deck full of things that sort the problem.
Yeah. Pretty much all of his draws are positive at this point in the game. But,
nice work from Zummp there, managing to still keep this as a contest, despite the fact he's facing 8/8 Jades, and his opponent's on 37 health, and his hand's full of 10 drops and 9 drops.
Seiko just kind of waiting for the ability to go off with his Gadgets and Auctioneer. Holding on to it, holding on to the Fandral. Eventually he's going to find either the Nourish or some cheap spells to cycle.
And he has so much time, even though Zummp can present a terrifying looking board.
Yeah, Zump's going to try and shut down on this time right about now.
Here it comes.
Yeah. What better way to do it than a handful of Tyrion.
Playing around the mind control tech, making sure that his board is the 3 best minions he can present and getting rid of all the little scraggledy stuff.
Yeah, he has never had 4 minions out.
He's been very considered. Yeah. Not a coincidence by any means. He's played around that for sure.
Yeah.
And he did have to set up this N'Zoth to only have the 3. Recognizing if Tyrion gets stolen, it's just game over. So, impressive stuff to get into this position. Not sure there's much he can do about it now he's here.
Right, he's pretty screwed. Like, Jades are big.
Is that expert analysis? Jades
are big, guys. That's all we got. They're really big.
Sometimes you just got to tell it how it is.
Yeah, he doesn't have any currently, though, so at the moment, there's a lot of damage coming through for Zummp, and he might be able to set up a lethal on the following turn. Well...
One thing this turn that could have been done would be Fandral into the Jades just to fill it up and use the Fandral like a mini Auctioneer. Then there's the Nourish as well could have been done, so you could get stuff played and cycled without having to use your Auctioneer.
Well, he top-decked Innervate, so he went Gadget, Innervate, then found Idols. Yeah.
But you can do that next turn. Anyway.
Next turn's too slow, you're going to get Tyrion to death.
And...
This is This is very winnable for Zummp with that Sunkeeper Terram.
Is it?
Yeah.
It slows the Jades down, but it slows your own stuff down.
Well, you don't need to play it yet. Your opponent can't get through, can they? Well, there's no cards remaining removal-wise for Seiko, so he can't really get through the walls of Tyrians.
So it looks like he's going to heal this turn.
The awkward part is the mind control deck.
Right.
That's
and you know it's in the hand.
Yeah, it has to be. Every card is there. So yeah, he's taking this opportunity to heal. He can't actually add additional pressure because he doesn't want to just lose the game to mind control tech, which is pretty funny.
Using up all of the charge. He's been really good in both these games, or all three of these games as it is now. Of
Max
using
Tyrion value, playing around mind control tech. Zummp knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, he spent, I mean, not only has he played this matchup a million times from this side because he's the one with the tech cards, but he spent some practice time, I imagine, working out how the best way to deal with MC Tech is. And he decided just never let them have it. It seems to be absolutely crucial to his game plan. And we can see anytime he'd been able to play it, Seiko would just win if he could play it. So Zummp setting out right from the start. Big mental note, don't ever give them it. How would you like another Tyrion?
The 5th Tyrion of the game.
So many Tyrions.
But this is going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
There's going to be 3 more Jade Golems added to the field.
Oh, just in case everything goes wrong. For those times when 4 Tyrions just get you down.
I don't think the Tyrions are going to stop the Jades. They're not the hero we need.
We did discuss that, and it does feel like
we already analyzed it. They're just...
It feels like he could lead a Jade army.
He could.
If he got stolen by a mind control thing from the evil Jade army. He could, like, head them into battle.
16 damage for Zummp, though, so he is getting close, actually. And he has the equality clear. Just the problem is he only puts out a 4-8 after the equality clear, and then he's threatening to do 9 after the 16.
And then Seiko goes, Nourish, Jade Idol, Jade Idol, Jade Idol.
And Feral Rage for armor, yeah.
Now, that doesn't seem very fair. Yeah. But then Dorna's playing 4 Tyrions. What I love about these sort of matchups is both players are doing completely and utterly unfair things.
Yeah.
But that's fine because it's balanced unfair things.
Yeah.
You go away feeling good about yourself. I lost, but I played 7 Tyrions.
It is really cool. It's one of the cooler games I think I've seen in a long time. All right, so he's going to try and go with the Sunkeeper Terram first.
Can he get... Someone getaway Kodo on this N'Zoth? Do it all again?
10 cards remaining for Zummp, so I wonder why he didn't commit like the Acolyte of Pain. Oh, the mind control tech, of course.
Yeah. He's just done a resoundingly good job all game of just not walking into that. He just loses it. He doesn't lose. I mean, there's a situation where you may have to do it and hope you get the 1 in 4 go your way, but he's done a good job not having to take that chance so far. And he would have just got hammered if he'd walked into it at any point.
Yeah, and he had to clean up that Fandral there to try and make it so Seiko has less ability to reload Jade Idols into his deck and has to spend more mana and more Jade Idols. If you have the Fandral going like infinitely creating and adding Jade Idols to your deck, then you never have to actually expend a Jade Idol adding them to your deck.
Right.
So you don't need as much card draw to refill the idols.
Yep.
So if Zummp can actually clear these 4 idols in Seiko's hand, then at some point Seiko has to spend an idol not creating a Jade Golem because he's shuffling. But good luck expending all of those. Like, I see the plan, but ooh.
Yeah, he sees the lines, but they're not very near.
Right, and so Seiko just needs to try and set up lethal with as minimal amount of Jades as possible.
Which is 1.
Which is 1.
That's a pretty low number. We decided yesterday. 1 is a small number.
Well, Tyrion can now come down to prevent the incoming lethal, and you get more Ashbringer swings in. So going for only 1 here allows the Tyrion to happen. If he had chosen to make 2, then the Tyrion that he knows in Zump's hand wouldn't be able to prevent lethal.
I'm always interested in tech cards that are good by not being played. This mind control tech has had a massive impact on this game, and it's never going to be played.
Right, it's been huge. It's made Zummp have to pressure way slower than he wanted to.
Right, just by being in the deck.
Yeah.
It's influencing the game from a distance.
Yeah, so that's super interesting for sure. Zummp would have been able to be a lot more aggressive if that wasn't an inclusion in Seiko's hand.
So he needs to kill this, he thinks, just to stop the Divine Shield from getting procced.
Yeah, so now the Divine Shield needs to be hero powered down. So by killing a 3/3 with 5 damage, he is doing 6 damage to his opponent.
And you cannot ever risk Yogg Saron when you're this close to fatigue. Just to point out, you get a million spells, you draw your library, and more and more and more.
That is a dead card in his hand.
Die
sure.
horribly.
So.
It just never works out. Don't try it at home.
I'd like to see maybe just one more Jade Golem. After your opponent a quality
So
clears.
they're quality clear.
And then you just flood them all out.
Be nice for Sira only cost 8, wouldn't it?
It would.
Get yourself an Awakens, try and get a little bit more damage to face. Maybe get a tie.
Maybe. If we get another tie in this series.
It'd be a long series.
It would be a long one indeed. That's 10 damage he can push maximum this turn, but the Spike Ridge Steed offers a lot of taunts that could potentially slow down the game. It's not enough to stay alive, though. So then it kind of has to be the equality here, doesn't it?
Equality Drake. Force some damage through.
Is Drake better, or is it better to go maybe Acolyte Kodo?
So he knows what he's up against, and there isn't that much left. He knows exactly what's in his opponent's hand.
He knows there's Mind Control Tech, Yogg Saron, and the entire rest of the deck is Jade Idols.
So he's going for the Drake.
He's set up 11 damage. The opponent goes to 13 and sets up lethal on him. He needs Consecrate to win the game. So,
Wow.
if he finds Consecrate, he wins. He might have... Tyrion's might stop Jade's.
He can... oh, yeah, because Consecrate with Spike Ridge Steed, of course.
Yeah.
I was thinking he can armor up and get out of range, but doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Tyrion's might stop Jade.
Yeah. They might be able to do it. A control deck beating Jade Druid in the late game.
Get the movie script written up.
I've never seen it happen before.
And it never looked like it was going to happen at any point. He's managed this really well to get all these Ashbringer shots to face through the game. Never walked into MC Tech. I said it wouldn't be played.
It got played.
It's here now.
Finally played.
Maybe it should have been played a turn or two ago, knowing that Tyrion Divine Shield was a thing. Ragnar's Light Lord going to buy him another chance. Is it?
No.
23?
He overkills him by
17. Spike Ridge Steed.
No, he overkills.
He just overkills him
twice. Yeah, he is dead. Not even slightly alive, right?
Well,
wait a minute.
Drake no, you take out the MC Tech and put the Spike Ridge Steed on your guy.
Right, the Spike Ridge Steed on not the Drake. And then your opponent's forced to take in multiple trades. You don't even need to kill the MC Tech. You go face and win the game, right? Go face.
You force a Yogg, which is
you force the Yogg,
lose.
yeah.
It's almost a lose.
So yeah, you put the Spike Ridge Steed on the Acolyte, you go face with everything, and a lot of the times you win this game.
Yeah?
This is a
What's happening? This is a wacky, completely crazy series.
This is disgusting, yeah.
And Yogg is just not where you... This Yogg is going to cast a million spells, so it's going to keep going until Seiko draws 2 cards, where he fatigues himself to death.
It might only cast 1 spell.
Or it casts Doom,
right?
And he loses.
And he loses.
But it's also, every time it whiffs in terms of killing himself...
Well, how many cards does Zummp have? Because Seiko could win in Fatigue if he lifted the Acolyte up by making him draw a bunch of cards. Like, what if he casts Volcano? Draw him 9 cards.
Here we go. Good luck, everybody.
He can still attack with something. That was close.
Secret.
Holy fires some nice healing.
Yeah, and it's killed the Yogg.
It keeps him alive on board, though.
And we don't know what the secret is.
Yeah, we don't know.
But there is a secret there.
It's a secret.
It's a question mark says question mark. It's very secret.
It's purple. So, what secrets can we beat here? Okay.
Apparently, it is mirror entity is one of them.
Oh, there's 2 secrets. What class is the other secret? That makes it's an important.
They're both mage. One is mirror entity. We're hearing so.
Okay, he tests for mirror entity first, and it's potion of polymorph first.
I've not seen that interaction before.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a sheep.
But there's no lethal setup for Seiko, so that's gonna be it. Seiko can't make it through. His entire deck is Jade Idols. Zummp has defeated Jade Druid with N'Zoth Paladin in the late game. That's not something you see every day.
He got through 4 or 5 Tyrians. He never got the MC Tech to give value away.
Right. He played around MC Tech for like 20 turns. He was able to get 5 Tyrians. He was able to space out all of the Ashbringer charges perfectly.
He used the Spike Steed to defend against a wide army of 17-17s at the end there.
Yeah.
Just to say you can't get through. And I think he played that game.
I thought he played it
incredibly
well.
Yeah,
that was insane.
Some of that is hindsight, but looking back on how that game panned out, he had a massively good game plan for that going in. And his superior knowledge of the matchup, because he's got the tech card, which means your opponent doesn't have a chance to learn it. Yeah,
and I think Seiko just kind of got comfortable. He should have probably pushed Jades a lot more aggressively than he did. He gave a lot of time to Zummp there to be able to just get in those Ashbringer swings. He should have really been forcing the clears more aggressively.
There could have been a time where maybe he just gets one more minion down. There's a turn you suggested, why don't you just put one more down to get through the Tyrian?
Right, if he knows the Tyrion's there because he got getaway coded. If he had put another minion there down, then Zummp couldn't just drop Tyrion there. He would have had to equality clear. So, I mean, Seiko, I think, made some mistakes in that endgame, which allowed Zummp to win, but Zummp capitalized on every single one, and kudos to that. That was impressive to watch.
And something Hoy said in that interview I was reading earlier today, Hoy, of course, in the other semi-final later today, he was saying a lot of this is about preparation. You've always said it yourself, like preparation is key. The preparation there is playing around your opponent's tech card, but you've got your own deck that you know how it works, and they haven't got time to learn how to play every nuance of it.
Sure.
Whereas Zump's played against everything but MC Tech a million times with this deck.
So the Shaman now coming out for Seiko to try and stop this crazy Paladin deck. Shaman extremely favored, usually because Paladin can't really respond to the wide boards as efficiently as it'd like to. It can't really respond to the totems in appropriate ways, and then just kind of runs them over. And Devolve gets sick value as well.
Yeah, we said that about Druid.
Yeah.
Look where that got us. But yeah, makes a lot of sense. Should be able to go wide, especially this is even greedier.
Right.
So Ysera's just a dead card if he draws it and such like, we think.
You can't really keep up with the pressure of the Shaman. And there's no Rallying Blade, so Seiko feels very comfortable coining out this Mana Tide. No way in Zump's deck for him to kill it at this point, so it is guaranteed to get the 2 draws. And Seiko could then protect it with the Stonehill Defender, and then once again, there's no way to kill it besides an equality combo, so that is going to refill his hand completely, find the Bloodlust, and then kill Zummp. This is going to be, most likely, a lot less climactic than the previous game, but
if it's more climactic than the last game, it's a sequel.
Who knows? Maybe Zump's just a Paladin god.
Yeah. Everyone else worships Yogg, he worships Tyrion.
Yeah. So the Mana Tide's getting additional cards, but developing the Acolyte here. If Seiko wants to protect the Mana Tide from the True Silver, which a lot of the times you do, he would have to allow the Acolyte to get multiple draws. So he's going to forgo protecting the Mana Tide from the True Silver to deny card draw off the Acolyte. So that's kind of the decision point there.
Filling his hand up, keep pace with the Paladin, which is great for him because he can play things at such a faster rate if he just keeps pace anywhere near on cards. You just have to fill that board up twice. That's the key, being able to do it twice.
And his risk gets rewarded because there's no True Silver here for Zummp, so he has no way to punish this Mana Tide. He is going to continue falling further behind. He's really good at finding those Tyrians, though. Zummp and Tyrion must be best friends.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't. Maybe not because he killed him 5 times last game, but like, he brought him back.
He keeps bringing him back.
Sure,
It's like the others were just clones.
Yeah.
He saved the real Tyrion until he got the hero he needed.
All right, so he ends up not taking Tyrion, though, because this matchup is so fast. The Evolved Bloodlust Shaman from Seiko will kill you before you have the time to play Tyrion.
And to be fair, all the way back in that Druid match, on turn 4, he Stonehilled, and we were like, oh, maybe he should take some tempo. And he took a Tyrion.
And he took a Tyrion.
Because he knew the matchup so well.
Yeah, he knew you need those extra Divine Shield taunts to live. And he bought himself all of that time. He got in like 5 Ashbringer swings against like 2020s, you know?
Yeah.
So it's insane that he was able to buy that much time.
And then he managed it. He managed to get through. Sorry, just ranting about the last game because this one's going to be less interesting in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He just managed it so well from start to finish.
Yeah, he had that game plan. You're right. All the way from that Stonehill Defender turn. We saw that hesitation there. He waited until just about the rope and then ended up deciding to go with Tyrion over the on-curve drop. Wow.
Yeah, that probably won him it as well.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that's when he decided, you know what? I could maybe go for the tempo line, but it's more consistent to just outvalue the Jade Druid with Tyrion. minions.
And never do it with more than 3 minions.
And never do it with more than 3 minions at any given time, too.
Maybe that's the factor. Maybe if you're going to do it with only 3 minions, you have to have good ones.
Right, you have to have the extra Tyrion there, I guess. I don't know.
Meanwhile, this particular game of Hearthstone that we are at least paying some attention to, Bloodlust is there, massive wide board is there, and Zump's going to have to start playing inefficiently just to not die.
Yeah, he's going to have to clear this one off. Otherwise, he going to be dead. But he can get the Doomsayer out while clearing enough to stay alive, right? There's going to be just the Manatide and the Flame Tongue remaining, so that's only 8, 9, 10 damage off the Bloodlust. So.
I love how evolved damage gets counted up and it just keeps going. 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's going to be close.
So you can get, if the Doomsayer goes off, then suddenly you have tempo, you make things happen.
Right.
So I like that.
So going ahead there, depending on the draw, obviously, do you protect this board or do you just start playing Stonehills and using that time you've got from the Doomsayer? Oh, she's interesting as well.
How would you
overloaded
this board?
Bloodlust does it.
Yeah, that's not a good way to do it.
It really isn't.
You throw away your win condition to protect a Manatide.
You do, but you get yourself closer to drawing into Doppelgangster. You've got Evolve in hand.
No.
So how do you do it?
You don't.
You just let it die.
You let it die.
So with that in mind, do you now just play your Stonehills and use your time efficiently?
You definitely want to totem and lower the cost of thing from below, because that costs you nothing. That's fantastic.
Especially now.
I think it's debatable whether or not you should play the Stonehill Defender there, just because flooding additional minions on the board is how you win this matchup.
Right.
Eventually, they run out of ways to clear your spam, and even just a Firefly is fantastic. So losing the 1/4, I assume the reason why he does it is because he's gotten so much card draw off the Manatide, and he has like a second one in his hand, and his hand's just so stacked already.
Yeah, it's a mana-efficient play to play the Stonehill. It's something you want to do. It's not winning you the game if you feel like you don't need to keep creating more boards.
I would love to see a Sunkeeper Tarim come out. That's how bad it is in this matchup.
You love to see a 7-mana 3/7.
Yep, that's what I want.
You might get it.
Yeah, that's what I want for Christmas. 7-mana 3/7.
That doesn't even sound like a card that's there to test how good the new players are in learning.
No,
You're talking about the Rifleman.
The Rifleman, yeah, like Ironforged Rifleman.
I think a 7-mana 3/7's worse.
Right. Maybe. I don't know. Just because Rifleman's pretty bad.
At least you can play it. If you don't on turn 6, you can't even play a 7-mana 3/7.
See? 7-mana 3/7.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just good.
Okay, new tech.
Zummp would play that card.
Zummp plays a lot of cards.
A lot of Tyrion.
And he plays them twice, and 3 times, and 4 times. And this is the perennial problem with why we're joking around while we're watching this particular one, because the Shaman can keep generating the wide boards over and over, and this is why we saw the Stonehill Defender as well last turn. He just
options though. You can pretend that Devolve's not a card. Jam a Spike Ridge Steed,
which would be rewarded.
You also have some clear potential with Wild Pyromancers.
Clearing into that hand size. I mean, you've got to do it so you don't die at some point, but you know it's all coming back.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I like pretending. Devolve's not a card, but
yeah,
this seems better, honestly. Extend with a Wild Pyromancer, maybe. Just go full tempo. Play the secret first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's looking at.
Now do you play it? Yeah, he's committing the full tempo line. He realizes he cannot clear the Shaman's board forever. If we watched, actually, a learning point was last series that we cast was there was a Shaman mirror at the end of that with a Jade Echo Shaman up against this same exact Bloodlust Shaman card for card.
Right.
And the Jade Echo Shaman had double Volcano in its hand, so it decided, hey, I'm just going to slow down the game forever and try and clear all of the boards that the Shaman can present. And eventually died to Bloodlust because even double Volcano wasn't good enough. So I like Zump's plan here of taking the initiative, trying to put pressure on his opponent, trying to actually kill him so that he doesn't have the infinite time to use all of the resources that he's accumulated to flood over and over again, because there's just not enough board clears for that.
Yeah, and there's just so many things. Again, that's going back to that Stonehill. Just play them out there. Keep your hand up. Get the mana used. And this is just getting ridiculous. Again.
6/6 Jades already.
Right, and that's not even usually a thing. Usually they're 2/2s and 3/3s, and they're annoying enough. 6/6. Sure. Good luck.
It's tough.
Good luck, Tyrion, against the Jades again.
Right? They're back! Part 2!
I thought we dealt with those. There's always a sequel.
Yeah. The Return of the Jades.
Sounds really remarkably close to a movie that you've never seen.
Yeah.
All right. So clearing up most of another board, but like you say, every time this happens, you just see his hand size falling and Seiko's...
It's staying the same.
It's not changing.
Yeah. He still has so many cards. Oh, man.
The funny thing is, Seiko's hand's about as useless as it could possibly be. I mean, it's fine. He can just keep reloading. It's going to win the game with it, but...
I don't know how you consider 4 0-mana 5/5s useless. Or 3.
They're just big idiots.
Or there is 4. I counted right the first time. My hand just didn't update. Alright, so he sets up lethal with committing as few resources as possible, which is what you want to be doing. And then he clears it again, and then he does it again, and then he clears it again, and then he does
double ganks revolves.
Yeah, he's got infinite reloads here, and then the bloodlusts to push. It's so hard for control decks to stop this.
Yeah, he is down to 15. That's nowhere near enough. But
you got him halfway there.
Damage.
Yeah. You need to hit a Tyrion at the late stages to be able to actually get enough damage to close out.
Yeah, Zummp hasn't had many Tyrions yet in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't know. He just really hasn't drawn too many Tyrions this whole game. Yeah. Like the whole series, that's been what he's missing, right? We haven't seen Tyrion at all.
Yeah, Tyrion. Just letting him down.
Right. It's
not getting it done.
Getting betrayed by the Paladin.
Looking like we might end up with an Evolve Shaman mirror to decide this. That's not the first time that phrase has been uttered this week.
The interesting thing about this is the tech choices. If we look at the tech choices from Seiko, he has a Sea Giant in his Evolve Shaman to help him win in the mirror.
Yeah, and it's just a one-off. Some people have been not playing the Evolve package. You can see this hand. It has the Evolve package. It's literally
It's over at Devolve.
Sure.
Which isn't fantastic, actually, in the Evolve Shaman mirror.
You'd definitely rather have an 8/8 than...
Yeah, 0 mana 8/8
fine. It gets to the totems, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, 0 mana 8/8 is better.
Right.
And there's no tech at all. I believe it's purely standard from Zummp, from what I remember looking beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely straight down the line.
Right. For all the tech he has in his other decks, Shaman is just like, no, we're just going to run class.
That would be really, like, ironic if he got out-teched in the game 5 when he's been the tech guy.
The tech Paladin, you know, gives him the lead and then makes it all come down to this, and then all of a sudden, out-teched in the last game.
Interesting, actually, we're seeing from Seiko. We talked about the MC Tech, which is basically a tech card for the Shaman match.
He's teched a lot against
the
Shaman.
Sea Giant's a tech card. It's building a lineup. It's not building decks, it's building a lineup. You're going, at the end of that, you build your lineup, you say, I'm weak to this and this. I'm banning, what did he ban? He banned Rogue?
Yes.
So I want to ban Rogue, which means I'm weak against Shaman.
And then,
so what I'm going to do is get my lineup again and just put in little tiny bits so that the Shaman doesn't hurt quite so much.
Right, just gives himself slightly better percentages against it, which is a really good call for this metagame, as Shaman is one of the most popularly brought classes of the entire tournament.
Right, and he's managing not to ban it just by not really ruining his decks either. I mean, MC Tech, not that bad. It's okay, it's a thing. It's not ruining your deck to have that instead of a Tar Creeper.
So Seiko going first. Going first in this matchup is a lot better because you get on board immediately, so your minions can start benefiting from Flame Tongue Totem and those sort of things right away.
And it's only that benefit. We've seen games where they don't draw their 1-drops, and suddenly, if you haven't got your 1-drop going first, you're in deep trouble. Seiko has, so he's going to be able to dictate the pace. Zummp, though, got all the key cards.
Yeah, hitting Coin Jade Claws there is fantastic. Now he can challenge Primal Fin Totem, which is the intention of coining it out there.
Yeah, he can challenge a lot of things with this hand. He's going to have the option next turn to deal with whatever happens. We can see it's going to be Primal Fin, most likely.
Well, you don't want to play Primal
you can't just give it away. So now you have to just Totem, which is going to get dealt with later by other things.
Now the Totem gets dealt with by just playing out the patches this
time.
Yeah. So you get to save the weapon charge and still make sure your opponent's not accumulating a board where they can utilize Flame Tongue to have some effect. So Zummp secures the board position greatly here.
Yeah, got Flame Tongue
now it's
back.
Back the other way.
Wow.
Yeah. Now we're at kind of like an even board state at the moment.
Yeah, Jade in each hand. Primal Fin's good versus Manatide. I think I prefer Zump's hand as it stands, but things will change very quickly.
Yeah, Zummp has the choice between which totems he wants to develop here. Any of the totems he chooses to play will likely stick, as Jade Lightning can't be played because of the overload of the Spirit Claws. Or Jade Claws, sorry.
Be interested to see how much care and attention he plays to that Sea Giant as well, whether he starts counting up, putting 1 minion less just to make sure it can't be played.
Yeah. He's had to deal with so much board space things. There's mind control techs, Sea Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done it admirably so far. You know that word better than I do.
Admirably?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. All right, half of the combo. Because what's weird in this matchup is a lot of the time, despite the fact going first is so big, you end up trading blows, and then someone plays the combo and wins the game.
Right, that is the biggest way to win, for sure. Yeah. Usually the board states, if no one runs away with it by about this point,
right,
then everyone's going to trade back and forth, and then it's the first person to draw a Doppelgangster Evolve until we get to that turn 7 or 8 point, and then it's not as big of a swing because people usually have answers.
Right.
But yeah, it's still a big factor, for sure. So there's a window in this matchup where if they just kind of do that, they win. Alakir
is usually the pick here because it's a comeback card. Your deck has not got many comebacks. People think, oh, it's a win condition. You could do 10 damage with a Flame Tongue. Yeah, sure it is. But actually, it's just a way of coming from behind when you get to turn 8, a little behind on board, killing off 2 of those important totems, having a 3/5 with Taunt.
Wow. That's going to be big.
That is going to be big. And now Zump's plan is just...
do that. But how do you set up to do that?
Yeah, it's set up to do that maybe on turn 7, not turn 6. Depending how well you can manage this board now. 6 is ideal, 7 is probably realistic.
Well, maybe Devolve could allow him to clean up the entire board to have it be able to be done on turn 6. So you get a Wisp, a 1-drop, and a 2-drop, and then you can try and Flame Tongue trade up if the 2-drop has 2 health.
And you've still got a really menacing board, so you have to trade into your stuff. Might be enough.
It's okay. Yeah, it's definitely not too appealing. The Jade Lightning gives you a 2/2. So you're just ignoring the Stonehill Defender. I think that's fine.
Yeah. And he may still choose to do it anyway, depending what happens here.
You do it as soon as possible. There's no way for Seiko to really combat that. He has 1 Devolve in his deck. I guess he could play a Sea Giant into it, but a lot of the time it's just going to kill him.
Yeah, and as we can see, not enough happening here for Seiko, so Zummp will almost certainly just go for this.
Right, and then what Seiko's going to need to find is like a Flame Tongue Totem that allows him to trade up his wide board into the more condensed big minion board.
Yeah, he hasn't got a good clear either, Zummp, so he's not going to be able to set it up in future turns anyway, so he might as well just do it.
Yeah.
If there's some amazing board clear here, you can consider delaying 1 turn, but let's just get on with it. Let's see what he gets. He gets everything.
Hogger, Argent Commander, a 2/6 for the 2-drop is fantastic.
Bit of bit of charge action, yeah, the whole thing.
That's not a bad one.
Not the biggest stats in the world, but everything's doing something. It's all pulling together to keep this board together. And Zummp
he got the Flame Tongue.
Spot.
It helps him a little bit to be able to trade up in conjunction with the Jade Lightning can actually make some things happen.
He's got Alakir going forth. It took a little while ago for this situation, but what he hasn't got is either part of his own combo.
Yeah.
So while he's busy not dying over 2 or 3 turns from these million stats that just got created, Zump's going to be able to just play his own Primal Fin, his own Flame Tongue, and get a huge card advantage from the fact that Seiko's got to just be so inefficient here.
He has a big Jade count, though. That's the one thing he's got kind of going for him.
Yeah.
Right? So...
got to get rid of the Hogger, otherwise it just provides infinite value.
Yeah, you have to do that. It's
like the perfect card for this deck. It's like super Primal Fin.
Yeah. Oh, he has patches left, doesn't he?
He must have, yeah.
Yeah. So now he can clear off, trade the 4/2 into the Hogger, and then pull patches and use that to kill the Argent Commander.
Yeah. Getting rid of a whole load of stuff. Didn't. Okay, still gonna be fine. It's fine. I just wonder why he didn't trade the Jade, but he still can. So you get all the value out of it here.
Yeah. Okay, just removing the most damage off the board this way.
Yeah, the Alakir is going to be relevant
from it. Yeah. It's impressive that he's able to stay in after the Doppelgangster Evolve like that.
But it is going to be a case of now he needs to just go run a Doppelgangster into Evolve or similar, because otherwise Zump's going to use all the cards he's now still got left.
Yeah, to just
to do it all again.
Yeah, outvalue him on the board and reclaim everything.
And he can threaten his own lethals or close enough 2s every single turn with his Bloodlust now.
Yeah.
And although it looks really good for Seiko there, it was really good relatively speaking, but that was relative to being in a big trouble.
I don't see why he would hold back the thing from below, though.
I guess he's just in his first quarter-final,
Yeah.
trying to work out what that card is in hand that he hasn't seen yet that came from Stonehill.
Right.
And making sure he doesn't do anything silly.
Makes sense.
Got 75 seconds. If you only use 50 of them and do something dumb, you're going to feel bad for a long time.
That's true.
Hard to see any way, though, where this goes wrong for Zummp now. Like, the three cards he has in hand are about as versatile as they can be.
They allow him to win the board back after this, for sure. So, he's not that far ahead, though. If Seiko is able to get Doppelgangster into Evolve sometime in the near future.
Yeah. It needs to be very near future.
Very
like
near future.
2 turns in that order, I think.
Okay. Seiko's trying to maybe keep the Alakir alive. Instead of taking the value trade, sacrifice the 3-3 to maintain health on the Alakir. It's kind of a gamble, but...
It's going to allow him to kill 2 things a turn, so it makes sense, given that he's a lot of things on board behind.
Yeah, he's taking a bit of a risk here, hoping that Zummp does not have removal in his hand, and Zummp has a lot of removal.
Yeah, I think it was the right risk to take, though. If you're going to come from behind, this Alakir is going to have to do the work. If you lose it, you just can't come back unless those 2 turns go perfect.
He is dead now.
And he is just totally and utterly ruined here. Zummp, his Paladin just did all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, the Paladin techs were great. The Sea Giant never got drawn for Seiko, so it never became a factor here. But, yeah, Zummp got Doppelgangster Evolve first after the early game kind of traded evenly.
Seiko playing it out because he doesn't know what we do. There it is. And Zummp with his own build of several decks.
Is the Paladin being able to get a win over the Jade Druid was absolutely massive this game, or this series. Like, Seiko needed to be way more aggressive with those Jade Idols, but Zummp just played that matchup brilliantly and gave himself an opportunity for Seiko to make a mistake and let him win, and Seiko kind of was a little bit passive, was able to connect 5 or 6 Ashbringer swings and close out the game.
And we thought that Jade Druid was going to get banned.
I thought so too, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
And it wasn't.
Because he knows the match.
He knows the matchup, yeah. He's like, I can beat Jade Druid with Paladin all day, every day.
And Orange has got some thinking to do now. He's going to play him in the next round. He's got Jade Druid in his lineup, and he's just see what happened against a Jade Druid, including MC Tech. I doubt Orange has got one of those.
Right, and the MC Tech was actually a big factor because he couldn't extend that many minions on the board.
It's kind of ridiculous what happened here.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, it was 6 games in a best of 5.
Yep.
Yeah,
Talk about
with the
that,
tie.
right?
Yeah.
So
totally
first
forgot.
game, if someone didn't see that, I recommend to rewind the entire match and watch it from the beginning because it's kind of ridiculous what happened. I don't want to spoil it, but it was a draw. But
no spoilers, but here's the ending.
Yeah.
yeah, but in general, the game was just fun to watch. We had 5 or 6 Tyrions being played from one side.
It's crazy.
The Paladin was just ridiculous and fun things to behold.
Yeah.
Right? It's Zoff doing what it should be doing. We had not seen that action from Zoff for a very long time. In every single deck, even in Kiev, in Starladder, the Zoff package wasn't really doing much. There was basically 1 card, 2 cards. People were relying on a synergy with Gateway Kodo and Redemption, but not every single time did that work. And now, here in this match, it actually went nuts, right?
Yeah, and these are 2 players that we haven't really heard much of before, Zummp and Seiko, and they both played really well.
Yeah, to be fair.
Really impressed with the games that they had played.
First time we actually watched those players, and I was feeling like, yeah, actually, high tier.
Yeah,
Hearthstone.
They brought interesting decks. They had cool tech choices that were relevant to the metagame and were factors in the match they played, and then they just played well, so yeah.
A very big thing here for Seiko is the fact that the mind control tech was way more impressive, of course, in the Swiss rounds when people didn't know about it, right? So people were playing into it directly in a situation when, in example here, Zummp was just able to play around it for multiple turns.
Yeah.
Not risking, like
it did make it hard for him, though.
Yeah, it did.
He still did a bit of work, even when it's revealed. That's why it's a great tech card. In the Swiss, 3 wins.
Yeah.
But even in this stage, it was making Zump's work incredibly hard. Every turn he's having to kill his minions off just to have the best 3 live.
And when you think about it, it's one of the best tech cards currently in the metagame.
Yeah.
Aggro decks go wide. Every single one, well, maybe apart from Pirate Warrior.
Sure.
Right?
Against Pirate Warrior, it's pretty not okay. But, but against Shamans and against the aggro Druids, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and then when we talk about control decks, they actually go wide as well. with Jade Druids, right? They go, usually they go wide. Sure. When it comes to control paladins, especially with those within Zoffs, that will spawn with multiple minions the same turn, it can happen. And then a single mind control tech can swing the tempo around. So, beautifully played by Seiko, unfortunately not enough. Yeah. But Zummp is advancing to the last semi-final, or into the second.
He must have worked out a long time in advance how he wanted to use that spike-rich steed against the Jades.
Right.
He saved that just forever, and he's like, well, now you can't kill me with your 17-17. I don't care.
Yeah, that worked out very well for him to try and use taunt to control the tempo of the game, allowing him to be the one dictating the attacks.
Was that the biggest Jade we have seen in the entire weekend and Monday?
Yeah, that was the biggest Jade that we have seen all tournament.
17.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a meme. Like, some you see bigger occasionally where people are like, I'm just going to win this. I've seen you do it. But you're just going to keep making Jades until you concede. But no, this was an important Jade. And actually, it should have been 18-18, we feel. That one turn
I think he
earlier,
should have definitely
made one
played more Jade idols and caused the pressure to happen. Especially when the Tyrion got getaway codoed. So he knows that Zummp has the Tyrion. So he only created the he only created one Jade Golem on that board.
To get through a Divine Shielded minion without all the other stuff going on.
Right, so if he had just created 2 Jade Golems on that board, then the Tyrion from Zummp can't come down, which would have been a really big deal, forcing Zummp to have to clear instead of being able to just drop Tyrion and buy a turn that way. So I think Seiko really needed to pressure a lot more aggressively in that matchup.
Yeah.
That seems to be like biggest common thing in players losing a match, right? Just not being sure when to be the more aggressive player.
Right, because you don't want to overcommit, but at that point, I think he was just playing a little bit too quickly. He is like, all right, I'm going infinite with Jades, I'm going to win, it happens every time, right? So that was kind of like the feel, but in reality, you know, Zummp never gave up, and he found a line that allowed him to win when Seiko was just kind of going through the motions.
And if he's the default line, must not overcommit, must not walk into equality,
but
must not mess it up.
But you know the Tyrion's there.
Yeah.
It's been getaway codoed, it's in his hand, so you need to set up lethal in such a way that makes it so he cannot play the Tyrion.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the bracket, actually, because that finished the top 8 that we had currently. So, Espomedo and Xixo, Spain versus Germany, will be in the first semi-final in just a few minutes. Then the second one will be Orange versus Zummp, so Sweden versus Finland.
Yeah.
They will be sitting 5 kilometers away from each other because Finnish people. Oh,
yeah.
That's a joke. Anyway.
I don't get the joke.
I don't get the... I'm American.
I'm not European.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We were European once.
Swedish people and Norwegian people and Finnish people will get it. Anyway.
Okay, good.
So we have we have the top 4 here at DreamHack Summer in Jönköping, Sweden. It's quite exciting because now we have 3 matches left to have a new champion at the DreamHack. We'd never actually crowned any of those guys here before. Neither Orange, Xixo, or the new guys. Well, they're actually new.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
So it's pretty exciting to watch those new games that will be unfolding in just a few minutes. We're going to a short break, and then the first semi-final, Xixo versus Espomedo. Don't go anywhere. This is DreamHack Summer Hearthstone Grand Prix.